How you guys doing?
Travis, what's going on, man?
Doing
First
great.
off, thank you for giving us a few minutes here. It's been a long time since we spoke to you. I actually looked this up. We spoke to you in June of 2017.
Oh wow, it was that long ago?
That
hmm
long ago. I actually made a little list of things that you've done since 2017. You've had three SS Never Ender cruises. You performed at NASA, the Kennedy Space Center. You've released three Vaxis albums. You put out two albums with LS Dunes. Zach has already been in the band for 13 years. You received the key to the city in Nyack. You played in over 10 countries.
So has wow, I don't know why, but maybe it's just because this is how memory is starting to work for me. I swore that we talked and I had a studio here in Nyack for a little bit, but I didn't jump into it until right after the lockdown or right before the lockdown. So wow, we if it was 2017, I guess I was living in Nyack by then.
Yeah,
God, I
you were living in Nyack, and I remember talking to you about I was going to do a comedy show at Maureen's Jazz Cellar in Nyack when it used to be there. And you were
It's
like,
still there.
"Is
Come
it?
do it.
Oh, that's all." I
Go
don't
for
think
it, Scott. Dreams come true.
yeah. And since then I've had two kids. Mike's had three dogs. We got Zoom. When I talked to you, we were still doing phone interviews, and we're almost 400 episodes since the last time we spoke. So it's pretty cool to link up again, man.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. And I would like to preface this. This interview is so important for us that Mike is at work right now, but he's in a soundproof booth that they have at work for private
Where do
phone
you work,
calls.
Mike?
I work in a company called Can Capital down in Marietta, Georgia, right now.
Okay.
So it was either this room or the mother's room, and I couldn't get my lactating capabilities up to justify using the other room, so that's why I'm in the soundproof room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
My lactating abilities have been failing me as well.
Yeah, I got to stretch better, you
Yeah,
know.
get on
Ooh. So, Travis, first off, it's amazing because I feel like Coheed's been really busy for decades, but I feel like you've doubled down on how busy a man can possibly be in the music world. Um, I mean, over these last couple of years, between the Vaxis albums, you've also released these LS Dunes albums. I'm curious, how do you work to keep that creative flame going? Like, do you ever feel like burnout is imminent?
I did. I'm not gonna hold back from saying that there's a balance. And I think that I had to find it again. But I wouldn't change anything because all this incredible music that I got to be a part of came out of the past 4 years, five, whatever. So, if we rewind a little bit, like we were in a position where we had no idea what the hell was going to happen with
Right.
our industry. Um, you know, uh, some of us were a little safer than others, in the entertainment world. I'd like to think that you guys were able to at least do, quite a few interviews because people were able to Zoom,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
people were looking to do that stuff. But, being that we couldn't tour and be in an actual band, setting, we all wanted to continue writing. Coheed had Vaxis 2 pretty much done. And the whole deal is we don't know when we'll be touring on that. We don't know when it's going to get released, but it's there. And so I got into a conversation with Tucker Rule, the drummer of Thursday, before the pandemic hit, and we were talking about working on a possible like band, a cover band. There was a fun cover band that we had like a meeting, um, and I was just like, look, at any capacity, I would love to work with you. And then you fast forward to we did like a Thursday live stream thing where everybody got tested, make sure we could come in, and from SST and Weehawk, and we did something called Signals. I think it was the second part of it, but Frank was a part of that as well. And there had already been some text threads started with some ideas kind of thrown around. We made an agreement. If it sucks, we don't have to continue. But then we did that Signals thing, and Tim was there, and we started talking about the stuff we were sending back and forth, and we were just like, this is undeniable, you know? So a couple of weeks later, we were like just continuously sending stuff back and forth. We're all back home in our lockdowns, and we're like, you know what? Let's find somebody to sing on this. And Anthony was definitely one of the first people that came to mind. Tucker had spoken to him. He knew he was looking for things to work on, you know, and we just, he actually tricked him, you know, innocently fooled him into thinking, you know, without saying anything, he just said, I made some music with some friends. Anthony assumed it was some neighbors. And he was like, oh, you know, I like the way these guys play. And then he told him who it was after we received the first song, which was called Antibodies. And he sent us just back some, you know, demoed vocals. And it was like, this is it. So it was a lifeline for the next like year because we still didn't tour. I'd say another year and a half, like of not really touring yet. And then we started to go out. Coheed started to tour a bit again. And then we had a plan to release Past Lives, which is the first LS Dunes record. And it was like, well, let's just see how it goes. And then it caught a bit of fire, you know, and people connected with it. And, you know, it became one of those things where we want to, it's a real band, you know, like we created it in the unknown, but what it became was a real band that was just as important to us as everything else. And so that still stands. I love creating with these guys. We have countless song ideas already going on for another record, and that's you know that we send things back and forth constantly. You know, I found a group of guys that just want to throw paint at the wall constantly and like-minded to see everything through, and it's great. Now touring, we decided, all right, let's work around all of our other schedules and try and fit it all in because this is just as important. Well, the truth is at certain points it got to be too much touring, I think, for everybody. I mean, Tucker was touring constantly with Thursday. Tim has a full-time job. Anthony's always busy. And Frank has a lot of stuff going on, you know, in general, but also MyChem, you know, with their touring stuff coming up. So I think that we did a bunch of tours in the winter. And now we're just kind of taking a step back while everybody has to do their stuff. I mean, my personal take on it is it is as important as anything else to me. It's a real band, but I also am lucky enough to be in LS Dunes because of where I come from. Sure. You know, I come from Coheed and Cambria, so Coheed and Cambria is going to come first. You know, like whatever's going on. And so I think everybody feels that way. It's our, you know, our lifeblood and our homes are from these bands that we created our identities in, and we're lucky enough to be a part of something else. I mean, we all have a million different things that we like to work on. I mean, I did an EP with a friend of mine, Soren Song, here in Nyack, and though it's not like a high profile kind of thing, it's something that I'm super proud of, and I hope more and more people get to hear. Now, LS Dunes, it's going to get more ears because of who's involved in it. It's also, they're very completely different things. Just like LS Dunes is completely different than Coheed. This thing I did with the other thing with my friend Soren Song is like Americana, basically. Yeah. And that's the thing is I think everybody in LS Dunes and in Coheed, they just constantly like to create and they like to try on different hats. I mean, one of the cool things about Coheed is that it is a place to try on all different hats. It's just, you know, clearly Claudio is the sole, you know, visionary of that. So like, you know, if he's trying on a hat that's like, you know, if he wants to put on a country western hat, I'm there. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, actually, I'd probably fit right into that, you know? Yeah. But there's like, you know, there's certain things that are like, are within the Coheed world where it's just like, that's going to start there. I mean, there has been those songs that start with, and I'm sure we talked about it last time, that maybe can start with a riff I have or something that he, you know, and those are my favorite times. But for the most part, those songs are going to start, you know, with his vision, and then it's about adding to that and almost writing a song within the song at times, which I love doing. The challenge of that in itself is always rewarding. But LS Dunes is this opposite end of the thing where it's coming from everybody at all different directions, and like I said, it's a lot of paint at the wall. You know, could start with one of my riffs, but then Frank does the chorus riff, and then, you know, perhaps even Anthony does a vocal that somebody writes a guitar to that becomes the bridge. I mean, it's like, it's so all over the place. And when we went into the studio for this last record, Violet, Will Yip, the producer, became a massive part of, like, you know, of the vision, you know. So it was like a team kind of thing in there. Not that it's not the same. It's a team thing with Coheed. It always has been. It's just a different.
Sure.
That's what I've learned with all of it. Like even doing the EP with Starn, it's like you're never. It's like they're your kids, and not one of them is ever going to be the same, ever, and not one album or song per se. Shit, not even one verse or chorus, or they're never going to have the same kind of, like, you know. There's going to be a different approach from every angle if it's any kind of collaborative effort, you know, and I welcome that. I love that. I mean, I'm a collaborator at heart. So when you ask about burnout, do I get burned out on the collaborative side? Absolutely not. The touring side, I have a family.
Yeah.
I was gone probably a majority of the past 3 years.
Sure.
And I'm home right now as I speak to you, and I'm very much enjoying it. And what I'm doing the dad thing. My son's graduating from, it's kind of like emotional because he's graduating from 5th grade to go into middle school, and I'm home for that. You know what I'm saying?
It's funny because I think when we interviewed you, he was still, I don't know, 1 or 2 years old or something. Like you were just like in
That makes
almost
sense.
an infant baby
He
stage.
was 3. My
Yeah.
daughter had just been born. That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, so mark down when they're about to graduate high school to doing
we'll
their
talk
interview
again.
with
Yeah.
us.
I'll try and get it in sooner than that. I mean, this is pretty amazing.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's okay. I took a main place in the house. I move.
No, I just need 1 second.
Okay. So anyway, yeah, that's been pretty much the
Vibe.
the order of events is figuring out that I was pretty burnt from too much touring and trying to balance that. I mean, doesn't mean that Dunes won't tour again, and we, you know, especially releasing new records, and we have a new record right now. So, you know,
Yeah,
like
you
I
do.
said, we toured on that a bit in the winter, then Coheed released, and now it's just about centering on doing the Coheed album, you know.
Now,
We got a lot of cool stuff coming up with Coheed, so it's like it works, you know. I'm fulfilled.
Yeah.
I can tell, yeah. Now, with all your art and work, I mean, all the sounds and tones are always experimenting. How long does it take for you to say, I think I got something unique, we can use this, versus, okay, this ain't vibing, maybe we come back to this another time?
That's happened a million times in the creative energy. I mean, it's almost like I described how it's different with every song, and it could be a different kind of thing of kind of letting it go. And let me know if I answer this right. And when I say let it go, I'm the type of person that likes to see it all the way through. You know, and it depends on the difference in bands and stuff, but you know, there's so many ideas that are flowing in Coheed and Cambria from the get-go, just from Claudio alone. So if I'm sending stuff and we start to work on stuff, there are those times where it's almost like I'm coming in with something that he didn't think of yet. Especially if I'm trying to put guitars or melodies to songs he already had. But even if I've had like stuff where I come in and you know, to Brooklyn where he lives now, and we start in on something from scratch, or I brought a riff or this and that, like, you know, there can get to a point where we can both feel the excitement and he's just on a roll. Or it can feel like, you know what, let's come back to this again. I'll tell you what, a lot of the time where it's like, yeah, well, maybe we'll come back to this, I have a feeling we're not.
Right. Right.
You know, and that to a degree has happened with LS Dunes, even with sending back and forth. Like you could tell when everybody drifts towards something. If somebody adds, you know, if I get a vocal back from Anthony, or I will always get the drums from Tucker, that's why I love working with him. He will always lay something down. He's willing to explore everything. And so everybody is, but it's a matter of how busy they are at the time. But you can always tell with everybody else, depending on how fast they get to it, if they have the time, how much everybody is excited about an idea. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You know, there was something I worked on recently with Claudio, and you never know what these things could become. But I mean, when I sense that he's like interested in it and he's like giving opinions and you know, it seems excited about it, then I'm like, okay, this could go somewhere. You know what I mean? But he's pretty easy to read if he's not interested. Like I could send riffs, and if I don't hear anything back, I'm gonna.
Yeah. Speaking of like,
if I'm writing on his songs, if I send stuff like one of the cool ways we've done it now, like when I'm writing on any, like, you know, especially this last record on Vaxis 3, you know, all the songs that he had already, when I went in for the first time, we would just start working on it where I would bring in guitars. I'd send them ahead of time, but we would lay them into the track, and then we would kind of go over them and see where they fit to his, like, you know, narrative, like what he's feeling about it. Sometimes I nail it, you know, and he's like, oh, that's cool. But sometimes it's like, all right, let's reapproach this and maybe take elements of it. So like I said before, it's like writing a song within the song. So it's an interesting dynamic, though, in the case of, like, he's very, especially as a writer now, as he's been doing it for so long. Like sometimes I've grown in the fact that I can accept that he's going to be pretty adamant about what he wants to hear. You know,
sure.
I used to be more frustrating. Let's put it that way. You know, and it's not. I admire the song from the get-go. Usually, I mean, there's not one song on Vaxis 3 that I didn't like, that I didn't get and think, oh, I can't wait to try and add to this. I felt that way about every single song.
I mean, the album is so good. I'm not just, you know, saying that because we're talking. The album is so good. I'm curious because you're dealing with, as you said, finding parts in the songs, but you're also dealing with an element that a lot of bands don't deal with, as far as like this story that Claudio's been telling now for 20 plus years. Does he even like come to you guys with the story first at all, or is your job like, let's do music?
I can ask. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No problem.
End of it?
No, I was saying, or does he come with you? Like, does he say this is the idea that's working out, or is it just like write some badass like tunes that go with this? Like, are you guys invested in the story at all? Is that all mapped out beforehand?
I mean, I'd like to think. I mean, especially being the person that's been here in Coheed the whole time. Like, I'm probably the most familiar and the person that he can bounce the most off of, aside from, you know, his partner in writing it at Chandra. I mean,
Sure.
You know, do I sometimes, you know, need some things laid out to understand a little more, of course, but for the most part, he could explain something to me and I'll be able to understand where he's coming from, just from, you know, kind of paying attention.
Right.
You know, I like when he'll send me the outline of what's going on within the concept and where it comes from in reality. You know, and sometimes they're very private matters that, you know, relate to everything in life and can be relatable to me, but he doesn't really want to lay it out quite yet. And, you know, maybe I could pick out what's going on and I could tap into that. But, you know, whatever the subject may be, have I taken that into consideration with adding? Absolutely.
Huh.
There's a song on the record called The Flood.
Yep.
And, you know, one of my approaches to that in putting some guitars was trying to almost like add little Easter eggs of moments from other parts of the concept and the sonics of the concept. You know, adding little parts from other songs and basically what I considered that song to be, and the way that his lyrics were describing it was like, I don't know if you remember Alice in Wonderland, where she like cries all the tears and she floats inside the door.
Sure. Yeah.
And all the characters in her flood of, there's all these characters, like, like the rabbit and the pelican or whatever the hell it is. And, when she washes up, you see all these characters from, the story. And that's kind of what I thought of, like him being surrounded by this world he's created, and all these characters in a big old flood,
Yeah.
and so that's kind of how I thought, like, to add guitar parts. And then we had fun with that. I went into Brooklyn, and one of them was even a happy accident of one of kind of like sonically shouting out one of the songs, like you're doing a little melody in there. There's, I think, 3 different melodies in that song that are from other songs.
Awesome.
So it's fun to do stuff like that, and that's always been a kind of thing that Coheed's done. Be it Claudio, Josh has added like in segues and stuff with Claudio, like, it's something that we're all very open to, and we're lucky because everybody speaks with their instrument, but everybody cares about the song. I mean, in my opinion, one of the most incredible parts of this new record is some of the playing that Zach Cooper does on the bass. Like, I think the bass carries a lot of the energy, and there's like a trust that I know Claudio has with Zach, where he just sends him songs, and
he's just grown album to album. It's awesome to hear, man. It's awesome to hear his presence.
Well, I think we got him, and he was already one of the best players and most established, like with knowing theory and stuff like that. Like, I'm not a theoryhead. I don't know any of that stuff, and Claudio's not either. Like, we do what sounds good, and Zach does what sounds good, but he also has the knowledge to back it. He's one of those people. It's very hard to find that. There's a lot of people that have all the music theory knowledge, but they get so caught up in thinking that if it doesn't fit to the theory, then they shouldn't do it. He's not like that. He's willing to break any of the rules, but as long as it sounds good. But he's the first guy that can tell you, like, what key you're in within 2 seconds, or what, or what harmonic value it has, or whatever. He's like, he's just one of those dudes. So struck a jackpot with him, and I think Coheed's at the strongest it's ever been. And I think that what's cool is like, depending on how Claudio feels and how everybody, how we decide to go about it, anything can be done still with Coheed. We've earned the right to, we have this incredible fan base that has allowed us to earn the right to explore and experiment however we want.
It's true.
Yeah.
And so I feel very grateful. And like I said, the LS Dunes thing is a whole other thing for me to be able to explore with those guys, because it's just, we chase everything, and I always have craved something where everybody's constantly collaborating and throwing paint at the wall. I mean, Violet is definitely, it was hard because I'm so proud of both records, like, equally, that I didn't want them as close as they are, but because I feel like it kind of gets lost. But then I've now come to the conclusion that everything gets lost now.
That's why I was laughing when we were, going back and forth trying to schedule this. I'm like, oh, you act like you didn't just release 2 records and you're doing 2 major tours. I'm like, it's okay whenever you have.
Well, yeah, but I mean, but you're right. Okay, I mean, you nail it, Scott. But I mean, the truth is, even so, it's not even the workload; it's that everybody's attention span is so short.
Sure.
I don't think that. I've been really working on it. Like, I try, and like, I found a couple of records recently, just sit with them, and try and make that my record to sit with right now, and not move on to the next thing immediately, but it's just the way of the world right now, is everybody is just moving on, when Turnstile just released their new record a few weeks ago, I sat and I listened to the record, right? And the next thing I'm going to do is listen to that record again. And I have a new record it's a band I had never heard of. And it's intriguing. They're from Canada, but it's very almost folky. It's completely the other side of the spectrum. But I'm just going to tell you who it is because I want to give an example of what I'm trying to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they are called, okay, Foxwarren, Foxwarren.
Okay.
And it's a very, definitely more folky, more, kind of reminds me of Bon Iver, Bon Iver, that's how you pronounce it, mixed with like a little bit of, I don't know if you remember Bell and Sebastian,
Of course. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
kind of thing. Mixed with like, I used to love the song, I'm a big Neil Young. Neil Young's my favorite songwriter, so it's like, I like when people tap into that kind of like, folky kind of thing. But I mean, I love the crazy horse aspect. I love when something is just off the cuff and it doesn't feel like it was really rehearsed or anything. It was more, yeah, the magic of this is how it came out. Here it is, blemishes and all. And so I found some of these newer bands that I've been listening to that have that kind of aspect. And what I do is I take a record, and that's the record I'm living with. There's too much to pick from now.
Nice. Yeah. I agree. I agree.
So
I mean, you kind of got into something I was kind of curious about. I mean, you've been doing it for so long. You've been having the freedoms to try out different things and everything. Is it comforting now and easier writing nowadays? Or do you get into that? It's got to be totally different from the last thing I did. It's got to be perfect. I can't go and go, oh, that's that, just like that album. Do you always have like a comfort zone, or is there stress involved here?
with stress, but I haven't been having it right now. I mean, I actually came home just a week ago, literally a week ago from tour, and what I've been doing since I got home is I was taking a lot of video notes, and I have video notes of riffs and kind of song ideas and stuff. And what I'll do is I'm recording them. I don't have a studio right now. The studio I spoke of before, where the last time I thought we spoke from, which we clearly didn't, I'm back in the house, which is probably where we spoke from last time, but I don't have a studio set up. So I have a little shitty garage band plug-in thing on my phone or iPad, and I'm just recording the riffs into there for now until I get a new space up and running. And that's kind of how I'm going to send stuff around for a little bit and just go the collaborative avenue of, like, when I was in the space we had in Nyack, I was sharing it with my friend Evan, and we were working on a lot of like sync music and stuff like that. And we'll continue to do that, like, meaning hopefully getting it into commercial, blah blah blah. But we had everything there. We were able to like record the drums and everything, live drums, keyboards, anything. But it's all in storage for me right now, which can be a little uncomfortable, but I kind of find it less stressful right now to just say, you know what, take all the riffs that you have in your notes and in your video notes, record those riffs, have them there, hold on to some of them. Like, I'll send something to Claudio, or I'll send something to definitely the LS Dunes. I try and send them something whenever I can. It had been months since I had, but I mean, Frank, when he's home, Tucker will send just drums that we can all write to. Tim will send just, a bass line everybody writes to it. So we're constantly going with that, but I don't need to do much else but plug in and send, and that's going to be a demo anyway. So
Yeah.
no, I'm not feeling stress with it right now. I'm feeling pretty I'm feeling fairly easygoing with what's next. Like, I don't want stress to be involved. I've had it where stress has been involved way too much. So here's to hoping.
So speaking of touring, you're touring the Vaxis 3 album, and I'm curious, either Claudio or someone made a post where they were showing Claudio like drawing the idea for the stage tab. Now, if anybody hasn't seen what you guys are touring now, it is this giant Blindside Sunny, amazing looking thing. I got need a peek behind the curtain. Like, how does that concept start, and what is it like seeing that thing actually come to fruition? Because it is badass looking.
Oh, I know. I mean, we grew up in that era where concerts were an event. And I still love going to concerts that are an event. If you grew up in going to metal shows, and you had your Ozzy shows and you had your, Iron Maiden was one of our favorite bands to go see and stuff like that. And so having that kind of event, but making sure it's interesting so it does, because it always toes the line of the Spinal Tap, but having it be so it's like, I mean, we're lucky. We have this concept with all these characters. So no matter what, we're not tapping into something that some people are unaware it's there, but anybody who's a fan of the band pretty much knows that there's this concept, there's all these characters. So they're not surprised. Well, they're surprised when they see a massive inflatable, maybe, and I hope they're surprised, but they're not surprised after the fact what that was. You know what I mean? Because they're like, oh, that has to do with this character, Blindside Sonny. And so Claudio had that idea on that paper. He drew that out. It's exactly like it looked, It was kind of playing on what we had tried 2 years ago. Not even tried, succeeded with having a character we called Quinny, which was a quintillion speaker in the, this kind of beast that was on stage with us when we were touring. I guess 2 years ago, we were on tour with Alkaline Trio and Montica, and we had that out for the whole summer, and people loved it, and it was incredible to do something like that. So now we had a new concept. We wanted to up the ante. I mean, shit, if we can get to a point where we have a bunch of those. I mean, I went and saw when Roger Waters did The Wall, and they had inflatables galore, and I loved it. I'm all about it. I know everybody's all about it.
A couple weeks ago, we had Paul Rappaport on, who used to work for Columbia Records. He did the Pink Floyd tour, and he talked about flying the Pink Floyd blimp around different cities and whatnot. And people look out their window, and there's just a Division Bell, like big giant blimp flying around. It's pretty awesome.
That's so awesome, man. I never got to see the Division Bell tour, but Claudio did, and hence I think that made a huge impact on what he is always striving to do. I got to see some shows though that's why I'm game, and yeah, we had the things to run around, and we're trying to, like, I think the Taking Back Sunday tour, the set will change a little bit. We'll have, some new little things going on, but I mean, the cool thing about it is as far as like a lot of the production will be used to it. It was definitely something that we knew was going to be a bit of a nut to crack, like, to get in there and because you're a little worried, oh, what's going to go wrong and this and that. But once you start to get into it, it's like something goes wrong. You just try and make the best of it. And we wound up.
I'm curious where that giant blindside. I'm curious where that Blindside Sonny goes after the tour. Does it go to Claudio's living room somewhere?
No. We got storage with all of our gear, and you'd be amazed how Blindside can just fold up into this container. Now it's heavy as shit, but Blindside is waiting patiently to come out with us and Taking Back Sunday, and that tour is going to be awesome because we got Foxing on it, which I don't know if you've ever listened to them, but we toured with them years ago, and they're a fantastic band. So it's going to be a really great tour.
That's awesome. I plan to be there in the Jersey show. So,
okay. Maybe I'd get to meet up, say hello. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be great, man. It's pretty cool because, like, we might be taking one of my nieces to the show, and it's so cool to see you guys. Literally a family, like your family is playing music. Like you see videos of Claudio's son, and you're like literally playing together. It's pretty.
Yeah, no, my son and his son Atlas, my son Rory and Atlas have been writing songs. They recorded a song with Claudio the other day. It's been pretty amazing to watch that going down. My son was practicing this morning because he's going to be playing at his graduation, and he wrote a song for it. And I'm
That's
like,
awesome.
As a parent, you're like, oh boy, but time, like and he wanted me to help him work on it, and that can also be a I remember how it feels like when you're trying to ask somebody to critique it, especially a parent, and
Yeah.
it can be hard to get that opinion. But he wrote something really, really beautiful, and I'm excited for him to play it. And but the stuff he's been working on with Atlas has been so much fun.
I just love seeing the videos. It's just amazing. Like generations now, second generation Coheed coming up. You know.
Yeah, man.
Um,
Well, it's running the family, my whole family. My father is still making music now, and he's matter of fact, I took all his records that I had gotten reel to reels from late 70s, early 80s from a band he had, and I had put that up online. It's all online, all the albums he made in the 80s and stuff. And I remastered, and got them all put up online. And now
awesome.
he's creating new music. So it's runs in the family, you know?
Yeah, I love it.
Crazy.
So, Travis, I know we're coming up on our time, but I did submit to some fans maybe some rapid fire questions that they have for you, if you care to answer a couple of these here.
Absolutely.
So, we'll call out some of them. Children of the Fence. Devin, favorite song to play off the new album?
Devin, I think we have yet to play my favorite song off the new album. The song, well, you're asking my favorite song to play live.
Yes.
The ones that we've played so far that I love playing live. Right now, I've really been enjoying playing. I've really enjoyed playing "Goodbye Sunshine" because it's like
that's my son's favorite song. He sings it in the backseat of the car like every morning on the way to school.
I think where it fits up. That's so cool. That's so cool. I think it's where it fits into. It's like right at the top of the set and sets things off nicely. But I've really enjoyed playing that. We were playing a song called "Play the Poet" on this last tour, and I'd imagine we'll continue doing it. But we're gonna, we're doing some Europe shows in Europe. We leave in about a week, and so I would imagine we'll still be performing that song there. But when we do the Taking Back Sunday tour, I have a feeling we're gonna mix it up a little bit. So we'll see.
Awesome.
So I have a feeling we might play one of the songs that I think will become my favorite.
All right.
That we've only touched on in rehearsals. So we'll see.
All right. From Andrew Yanes, from a mental health perspective, being so busy between Coheed and Ellis Dunes and various collaborations, how often do you reach burnout? How do you manage that? We kind of covered that one.
We did cover it. I mean, I will add that I have a fantastic therapist, and when I say I really burned out, I mean I think that it's obvious from sitting here that I'm doing okay right now. Let's put it this way: I probably wouldn't have done this if I was too burnt out, and so that's why I'm happy to be sitting with you guys. Like, was there a moment where I was like, I shouldn't, I should just hold back on anything? Of course, but
sure.
I'm doing.
If you need to get some cursing out, you can do that with us one of these days. I hate the world. Get them shenanigans guys on.
I appreciate it. No, I'm doing all right. Like if I would advise anyone, I would say always pay attention to it when you're on the road constantly. It can really get to you, but I kind of know it now. Like I did it early on. I mean, we were kids, but I mean, Coheed would tour like 10 months out of the year,
Sure.
And I found out I'm too old to do that because I did do it. It was like 9 or 10 months out of the past couple of years, and this year's shaping up to be. I'm just excited. I feel like I have like tours that I'm looking forward to coming up, and I have family time I'm looking forward to, and I'm going to be able to create with everybody, with Coheed and Dunes, and we can create new things. And I just feel like there's going to be I feel like everybody's finding their balance. It really fucking threw it off having everything just shut down, but that's how it was. It's like, okay, how do we get back into this? And everybody just went full, So,
from Alex Avery, seeing how far Coheed has come, do you feel more excited playing some of the big classics than you did when they were the new cool song? So, I mean, first thing that comes to mind is you guys put Domino back in the set list. Does it feel fun to play them now as opposed to when they were the first time?
Yeah, Domino definitely had a whole new life to it, because it's like we haven't played that song since it was like released on the record. And it was like, God, it can make you feel so old to say, oh, well, it was 13 years ago. This is the last time I played it. Yeah. So after 12 or 13 years of not playing a song, and when you were playing it back then, it was brand new. So people are kind of feeling it out. They don't know how they quite feel about it yet. To having people have lived with it all these years and have it even be a fan favorite for certain people. Yeah, there's a momentum to it that's just, yeah, you can't deny that. So, yeah, there's a lot of the classics that I enjoy pulling out. I don't get tired of playing In Keeping Secrets or Welcome Home or even Favor House Atlantic. I don't get tired of it because of the crowd reaction, because of how we feed off each other. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's something new every day. Claudio was playing with a ladder the other day.
Oh, yeah. He'll always surprise you with getting some random item to either jump on top of or use as a pick. But yeah.
Two more here. In other interviews, you mentioned acts that you inspired you musically. Where are you drawing inspiration from for the current directions of Coheed and Ellis Dunes?
They're so different. Like, like I said, and a lot of the time it really depends on what scene like we're kind of in. And when I say scene, I don't mean like what musical scene. I mean like what atmosphere, like what, like I'd imagine going over and touring in Europe, like if if we do decide and sit and mess with anything, or we're messing with anything in a sound check or something, it'll just be like something that's fresh and unexpected, and the same thing goes for LS Dunes. It's like I said, somebody could send a riff and, I mean, with Coheed, as I described before, I mean, it's going to be like, I don't know, like if Claudio might be writing for Prize Fighter right now as we speak, or he might be, full throttle in something with Coheed, and then I'll find out what that is later, and then I'll be like, okay, let's see what it is. I mean, we stay in touch constantly, and and I generally hear a lot of the things that he's working on, like as he works on them. But I mean, he's in Brooklyn, I'm here in Nyack. We got kids, like
Sure.
he gets up at like 4 a.m. and probably writes like 3 songs, and one of those songs might make it. And next thing you know, I'm gonna hear what vibe he's got.
But maybe that's the best way for this band to do what it's doing now. Like maybe that this situation is what makes you guys you're able to keep going. It's so many years later. Maybe this is the right way you guys are doing it now.
Yeah, I mean, well, it does differ. Like I said, it differs. Like we definitely have had all different experiences with even Coheed, where you know like for instance, there was a song on Unheavenly Creatures where I just went in and I just started playing a bunch of stuff, and he built a bunch of synths around a song called Nighttime Walkers. Okay, so that's an example of a song that was from the ground up, just us doing it, and that vibe just came from what did we wake up today and feel and work on. And that's what I describe about a sound check or something. There have been things that started in a sound check, but for the most part, it's really about where he's at, and seeing where he's at. And I've actually been influenced by where he's at to try and send him a riff that I'm like, maybe this will fit in the narrative, and it does.
Sure.
On Afterman, I feel like I did that with a song like we had Two's My Favorite One, and I sent the Away We Go. And then next thing you know, we're building Away We Go from the ground up, and I feel like that's like a sibling song group. I feel like those songs work really well together.
Sure.
So yeah, we influence each other. I guess that's so. Where are we at right now? Both bands. I have no fucking idea. to be determined. TBD. Yeah.
Last fan question from Matt Ammons. Your favorite Britney Spears song?
I really like that song "Toxic." Man, I thought that had like maybe just the beat and stuff, but I remember that song came out. I remember Josh Eppard listening to that on the bus when we were probably 22.
Yeah.
Like, hot, and I was like, it's Britney Spears, and being like, oh wait, it is. So yeah.
I'm going with Womanizer. I could see you guys doing a mean version of that. Womanizer, Womanizer. I could see Josh really killing that song. So
that's a good tune.
Yeah.
Final question for me. If you were on your deathbed and you have time to do one more song, are you doing one of your songs, a cover? Or are you going to try to make something up at the last second?
Oh, dude. I'm on my deathbed. So I have to play the song, or is it a point?
Well, it's I guess the doctor's just like, I mean, you can hold out until it happens, but
I have a vision of my funeral, like I want everybody to have a big party on the beach with loud music going. I want to have a Viking funeral, but everybody's going to get so fucked up that they're not going to even be able to like hit my. They're not want to set me on fire before they send me out to sea.
Oh man, he's going to Europe
And
now. We couldn't hit him.
They're trying to hit me with the arrows, and everybody misses, and I just go out to sea. So what song does that happen to? It happens to the Dire Straits. The Walk of Life.
I love the image. I love the image of the boat just sailing far from people to shoot it.
And it's just
Can we go get it?
It's just made on a bunch of shitty twigs, so it's even like half in the water, and I'm just yep.
Some freightliner comes by, tips it over with its wake.
Runs over my dead shell.
Travis, first off, thank you so much for giving us your time, man. It's a real pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you. Yeah, man. So will both you be coming?
He'll be in Georgia, so he'd have to fly up. Yeah,
that's right.
All right, yeah, definitely.
Where do we hit in Georgia? Do you know? Does anybody know what's happening? Where are we? Hold on.
I don't have anything.
That's providing he doesn't get locked in that soundproof box and die in there, because that would be
cool. We need to get you out of there, man.
Well, I'll just put some footholds at the bottom and just walk in there with carrying this thing.
Well, I think you should work on that lactation so you don't have to ever go.
There you go.
Hold on a second.
No, it's cool. He knows me. I'm the lactating guy. Just let me to the back.
Atlanta, Georgia, baby. The Coca-Cola Roxy.
All right. We'll make it happen.
Yeah, hit me up.
Sounds awesome.
Hit me up, Scott.
And thank you for providing the time. I know it's very limited, so I really appreciate it.
No, I had a blast. You know which one I'm going to go watch next? I'm going to go watch the Christopher Thorne one, because I'm a massive.
Oh, he was.
I've started watching some of it.
He was so good.
I sent in a cassette tape. He's talking about the cassette tapes. I was 16 years old. I sent in a cassette tape of 4 songs that I recorded to try out to be the singer of Blind Melon. I might have been 15.
Wow.
I know I'm young, but I would love to. There would have been no way in hell. But God, if I could only hear those songs. I bet you they're so off key. I bet you they're so terrible. But I want to hear them so bad. I want to hear them.
That was such a great interview, man. I'm such a big Blind Melon fan. That was another.
Me too.
Cool moment.
Me too.
Same here.
It's cool to see them back doing stuff again. So
I love it. I really want to see them play. I hope. I'm going to keep track of it, but right now they seem like they're just doing festivals and stuff. But if they do
it seems a lot of Midwest stuff right now, like a lot of Missouri and stuff out there.
They hit New York and I'm home. I'm there. All right.
And I did have a question for you. Does your hard drive ever get full? Like, I can't remember half the stuff we've done. Like, now you have so many albums and like these long, giant progressive songs. Like, are you like? Sometimes you got to refresh yourself on these.
Up live, yes. Yeah, of course. Do I forget when a song was released or when? I'm pretty good with that, man. I got a pretty good idea of like years and stuff like that. That's why I was so surprised when you said it was 2017. But, that's an example of me failing.
Travis, thanks so much, man. Take care. Have a good rest of the day.
Pleasure, man.
Talk soon.